What do you know? After 2 minutes of spooling, I'm live. Hi, everybody. I sound like Lou Rawls tonight. Not that that's a bad thing. Lou Rawls is a very sexy man. I also think Lou Rawls is dead. But anyway, big word whenever is what I call this. And the word today is Aegis. This episode not brought to you by a paid sponsor, but by the best coffee I can tell you I can drink in a typical or atypical day. That's Old Town Roasting right here in Orange County. Roasted by the Viking himself, Sean Anderson. There it is, Black Widows. This particular variety is pretty severe coffee. I will tell you that few people have as much integrity as Sean. So just buy his coffee if for no other reason than you support integrity. I'm going with a soft-spoken voice tonight. One, because my voice is a bit raspy. I was getting over a bit of a cold in my third week of school this week. It's been a lot of talking, even for me, a lot of talking. So a cup of coffee, the witching hour of 9 o'clock on a Wednesday evening, and here it is, big word whenever, with yours truly. And the word is Aegis. Pretty old word. It's Latin. It is pronounced Aegis. It's sometimes spelled E-G-I-S. And it is a manner in which protection is provided, like a wall or a vanguard of sorts, a bulwark. It's one of those military words that goes back to Roman times. And tonight, the reason I share this with you is because the aegis of my fatherhood, my paternity, tonight was on display for all to see. Here in our locality, we have a local park that a few months ago added a beautiful little playground for the kids. So taking my girls there became a 2 to 5 to 6, 7 day a week event, especially in the summertime. It was almost every day we were there. And even in a bad week, a busy week, we'd still go 2 or 3 times. Half an hour, 45 minutes. It's literally 0.3 miles from the house. So it's a nice walk to and from. Recently, the park has been under construction, and all but the playground is closed. So the gates around the park have been festooned with beer cans and used items and paraphernalia of sexual and drug culture varieties. That's really nice to explain to your kids, like, oh, that's a used Trojan right there on the sidewalk. And several more inside the fence if you'd like to take a closer look. That's nice, isn't it? To explain. Of course, I just ignore it. My kids think they're water balloons or something. And maybe to some, that's what they are. But, the occasional needle, a lot of broken beer bottles. That's great. And the playground I found the seesaw, which has this big plastic bubble on top of it in the center where the kids can, not. It sort of looks like a little spaceship. It's kind of a funky looking seesaw. Someone had taken what appeared to be a blowtorch and burned 2 gaping holes in the plastic shield because, that needed to be done 2 or 3 times in the last month since it's been under construction for about 6 weeks in this improvement to the park. And this area is now shielded so that because of the fences, except for the little tube that gets you into the playground, the loadies and the burnouts and the junkies who populate the fringe of this neighborhood, I found them in there when I was walking the dog or just taking a walk one night in there with cases of beer, 15, 20 kids. This isn't 2 kids getting high or smoking cigarettes or drinking beer. This is a dozen to 15 to 20 teenagers and high teen kids. I see them with public high school t-shirts on. And it's the whole gamut around here. It's lovely. And it's not unheard of that teenagers do this stuff. I get that. But, thinking of what dried substances or even still moist substances around the playground equipment my kids play on, it really does wonders for my paternity, So I check all the equipment to make sure that before my kids are on it, it hasn't been loosened, because a few months ago somebody sabotaged the swings. That's a nice thing, isn't it? So why is my word today Aegis? Well, that word is protective, and it is the manner in which you apply your protective filter in a situation. And the Aegis of my fatherhood today was that a little boy of about maybe 6 or 7 was running pell-mell around the playground for the 30 minutes that my 2 girls, my 5-year-old and my 3-year-old, were playing on it. And big deal, right? There were 3 or 4 other kids there. There were some parents too. And the parents of this little boy were there. And the big brother of this little boy were there. And he was about 10 or 11. And all this child did, and I think he's mentally not well or not, he is mentally affected. You know, as I tiptoe around with the proper language, there is possibly some case. He was screaming. He was in a bellicose, shrieking, cacophonous bellowing in the face of my 3-year-old. Every time he passed her as he ran by her, every time she passed him on one of the pieces of equipment, he called her stupid. He told her to shut up when she wasn't saying anything. And believe me, she says a lot, wasn't saying anything. He basically behaved like a little wild creature, which I get it. Little kids do that. But with their parents nearby, you think maybe, let's see, what would a human do? Oh, yeah, they'd raise their kid. So I watched and I bided my time. As your basic white devil in the neighborhood, I, of course, have to put 75 different filters between what I do and what others should be doing and don't do. So I have to think about whether or not somebody's got a smartphone out, whether or not anybody's taping this, whether or not it's being watched by somebody because they want to foment discord in the neighborhood. And we have people around here who do that for the local political purposes of the upcoming election. They did it the last election. They organized some things in these neighborhoods with certain individuals to try and make things look worse so they can get into the OC Weekly, you know, basically a paper that nobody would pay money for, so it's free. And so my Aegis moment was when I waited for my little one to say anything. She's a pretty tough kid, and I think kids should work stuff out. So after about 3 minutes of this bellicosity, she comes over to me and she says, "Daddy, that boy's being really mean to me. He's picking on me." I said, "Yeah, I saw that." So ignore him. I said, he's got troubles. And that's exactly what I said. Or I might have said he's troubled, but I used the T word. And I said, and besides, you know, his parents aren't going to do anything. So just ignore him. That's what I said to my daughter. I didn't yell it, but I said it loudly. And his mother, this child's mother, was about 5 feet to my right. And the father was about 20 feet the other side. And he heard me. He didn't look me in the eye. He was maybe embarrassed. But there's a way to handle that embarrassment. And the way to handle that would be to say something or do something to your son. And I don't mean belt him, cuff him, scream at him. But perhaps take your son aside, who may or may not be able to ever do anything about this because of whatever pre-existing condition or issue that the kid has. But the part where the kid, unchecked, rants, screams, yells, and insults my 3-year-old. Old Kieran, pre-kids in his life, Kieran, didn't need a whole lot more than that to wade in with both fists and a knee to the balls. This is what old Kieran did. Many's a time. I lost some of those fights and I won some. I don't want to fight anybody. I would just like it if people weren't vulgarians, sick bastards, and let their kids run roughshod over others. Because I can guarantee you, if my kids treat kids that way, there's going to be hell to pay. And I own it there and then. So for the next couple minutes, I stood very close to the playground. And the 10-year-old, the 11-year-old, the older brother, he actually did more work than the parents did. He sort of shepherded the kid away from the center and kind of kept him shepherded to the exterior of the playground, and the kid ran around. And all I could think was, I didn't want to bring that Thor's hammer down in this situation. I wanted to protect my children. But, you know, eventually those kids are going to be on a playground where I'm not present. And that playground might be a high school classroom in 15 years or a lot sooner in a regular school. It could be a mall, movie theater, just the world that we live in. And, that one kid, maybe he'll work out his issues, and maybe those parents will decide to, I don't know, parent. And I get to say that now because I got three. You know, for years I watched other people do a lousy job of raising their kids, and I was told, "Wait till you're a parent." Well, guess what, some bitches? I'm a parent now, and that's my best Buford T. Justice. Now listen here, you son bitch. I'm telling you, the Aegis that I represent, my method of protection for my children, is a looming, protective, um, large, swollen, and swelling to even larger sizes as the moments pass, that is very likely to confront another person who lets their children berate and make my children feel bad. So that's the word of the day. That's the Aegis of the day. And that was 11 minutes. And I'm sorry I went so long. But anyway, I'm trying to find placidity in all this, which is why I'm drinking a lovely cup of double espresso, courtesy of Old Town Roasting. See how I dovetailed that nicely in the beginning and the end of the bit. Look, in the end, everybody's just trying to raise their kids the best they can. I may use a couple bad words, and I may step on some toes. But the thing is, kids deserve to grow up without violence or threat of same. Mine and everybody else's. And when some people can't govern that in their own children, well, some of those kids just grow up to be little bastards. Some of them grow up to be people who victimize and do a lot worse. Jails are full of those kids. I wouldn't go so far as to say that kid tonight would be that, and I pray God he doesn't. Matter of fact, at prayers tonight, my girls prayed for that little boy. I don't know if they're praying for my kids, but we're sure as hell praying for that kid. And I might ask you to do the same. That's a different kind of Aegis. That's where you need help, and you ask God to be your protector. We do that every day around here. As I ride my bike to school in the morning and back, as I get in the car and get home in the car, I thank God every day that every moment of my life comes to me. And I ask him to protect me from the evil ones out there. And sometimes the stupid, rude ones, the troglodytes, the cave dwellers of this world, the vulgarians of this world. And that's all. And that's 12 minutes and 51 seconds. And I end this stream with a big come back for a big word whenever you want, another time. And if you subscribe, well, goody for you and goody for all of us. And thank you very much. Have a wonderful whenever.